Hi, everyone. I'm Marco Gonzalez. Welcome to another edition of On the Couch Live. I am so excited to have you with us. And of course, I'm very excited about today's guest, Tsai. He is an awesome guy, a man of many talents. He is not only a celebrity and fashion photographer, he's also the host of a TV show called Street to Kitchen Asia, and he hosts a very popular IG live show called Let's Talk. So he's just, does so many things, and he believes in so many causes that are near and dear to his heart. So we're going to talk to him about everything. But I know that all of you are asking about this. Yes, he shot this cover, and each girl has their own cover as well. So we'll talk to him about that experience in Bali. The pictures in here are incredible. It just hit newsstands. So I got my copy, and we will talk to him about that and some of the challenges that he faced while out there. He has a way of making all of these models feel so comfortable, and that is a talent that he has. And he's also very personable, so that must help as well. But I'll let all of you join, so that way we have time before we bring you in. So hopefully you're having a great day today. The weather is just beautiful here in Los Angeles, so hopefully it's good wherever you are as well. Well, I see you has joined, so let me bring him in. Hold on a second.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. There's no sound check here. I can hear you just fine. Thank you so much.
Yes. I always like to check that. There we go. I'm checking everything. You have to make sure everything's right. The lighting, the sound, everything.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for having me here.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you. So tell me, how are you doing during this quarantine at home?
It's been actually a very rewarding time, meaning that it gives you time. I think everybody says this and may sound like a broken record, but it really is a time that we get to reflect and slow things down and kind of review what our own values are. And being a minority, I guess I can still say in this world right now, that being a minority,
Yeah.
being non-white, let's just put it as blunt as possible, that you really do realize that what privilege means and what is it being Asian American, what are the privileged things that I benefited from, and what are injustices that's had perpetrated on people of color, and then how do we inject ourselves into that group of people, be able to celebrate the rights that we all should have. So a lot of political things that I personally didn't think I would be involved with or never thought myself as an activist, but through this time, I'm beginning to find my voice. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because I know you're passionate about certain things like human rights and whatnot, and I want to definitely talk about that. But a lot of people obviously know your work over the years, and you not only are the celebrity and fashion photographer that is responsible for this beautiful cover, which we'll talk about. Oh, I have a copy. Oh, I sure do. But you also host Street to Kitchen Asia, the TV show, and you have your own IG live show called Let's Talk, which is fantastic. I watch it all the time. You have amazing guests. But before all of that, I kind of want to set up so people know how you got to where you are. I find that people like you who are successful inspire so many. So fill us in. What was your journey to get where you are today?
Well, thank you for saying that. I have to say, I didn't think that my work was inspiring for others until recently, because as an Asian American, I think for me, working hard is my DNA. You put your head down and work, and you don't cause issues, and you kind of just stay quiet and stay invisible. And that's how we're taught as Asian heritage. But I grew up in Taiwan, and in Taiwan, my character, the way I act or the way I behave was not traditionally Asian welcome. Meaning I was very verbose. I was always in trouble and kicked out of school from school to school. And my parents even tried to put me in private school. That didn't work out either. It just because I was not quote unquote the yes, whatever you say authority I'm going to follow kind of Asian. I was one that inquisitive and asked questions. It wasn't so that I was getting into fights or anything like that. In fact, I was really socially awkward and I didn't have any friends at all. But the people I talked to were instructors. But when I talked to them, I challenged them to teach me things that I wanted to know. And in my culture, in Taiwanese culture, in Chinese culture, You just don't do that. So
Hmm.
when we moved to the United States when I was around 12 or 13, and that's when I found my new
Your voice. Your voice.
attitude. Yeah, my new I should say attitude because voice
Okay.
comes much later, I think.
Okay.
I think I found that it's okay to be who I am. I'm learning a new language all over again, and
Oh
this
yeah.
is who I'm going to be. So the world has had to accept you, but without knowing, I was living in Terre Haute, Indiana,
Okay.
that I did not know how much racism was happening in that area because again, when language is your barrier, when people are using derogatory words toward you, you just kind of smile and go, hi, you nod your head, so, oh, you're saying hi?
Oh, I see.
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
You just
so
let it.
it just flies over my head, and I was
Hmm.
very oblivious to racism, I have to say. I didn't think anything of it. And it did not hinder my growth as a person because it didn't bother me
Right.
in the way that I didn't think it affected me at the
Okay.
time
Okay.
until later on in my life. And I go, oh, that did matter,
Mm.
and then as an immigrant, my father didn't speak English at all either, and we moved to the Midwest, and it was not easy. And my dad worked in the kitchen as a dishwasher, became a cook eventually, and I learned how to cook in his kitchen. So that's
Mm.
why I started my cooking journey. But I
Okay.
took him, that's because if you could, in a Latin culture, every culture except I think in a Caucasian culture, that you wash dishes when you can stand. You know, you
That's true. I
you
know
mow
that
the
from
lawn the
experience.
moment you can walk.
You're right. I remember. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I guess they call it child abuse in America.
It's
But
called
for us, like,
efficient. It's efficient. Yeah.
if you can walk, you can do chores,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
and also you didn't get paid for doing chores. You earning your place in your life in the house when you're growing up.
That's
So
true.
culturally, there definitely is a difference. But it was my upbringing. I didn't know any better, and I didn't find art until much later because I wanted to be a wildlife biologist. I
Oh.
study as a wildlife biologist. I
Okay.
graduated in 2 degrees in the sciences and few minors in the arts and in literature because I was I guess that's a stereotype of an Asian person that I am an overachiever. I started college when I was 14. I wanted to
Oh
be
my.
Dookie Howser, and it wasn't because my parents pressured me. In fact, it
Hmm.
was completely opposite. That my brother was the smart one.
Okay.
He was amazing. He was always getting A's. He just you don't have he just study on his own. He doesn't need any encouragement. My parents kind of gave up on me. It's like whatever happens to you, it happens to you. But because of that, they never even looked at my report card once. Never even asked once because I was a second child. My sister was a darling, and she's 10 years younger than me. And my brother's 1 year older. He was going to be the doctor or whatever he's going to become. He was the smart one,
Okay.
and I kind of did everything on my own. I did it on my own terms, and I had this drive that I want to get good grades, not because for my family, because I want to get the heck out of my house.
That was your incentive. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was for pure survival mode. I was just like, what can I do to actually get to the next place I want to be, and what does that take? What career can I have that can be surrounded by animals, which I love, and travel? Wildlife biology, wildlife zoology. That's what I'll do, and that's what I study. And I graduated. I got the opportunity to travel to Kenya, work in the field over the United States, and it was through my trip in Kenya. I kept a sketchbook, and the sketchbook was very much a journal
Okay.
of my experiences. Whether it's I found a leaf that I have to copy and sketch to because I can't bring them back, right? Or it's a blood smear of a beetle that we can't bring the beetles back because we don't want to infect the agricultural in the United States, but we got the blood smear so we can test the blood when we get back. So this journal basically was a stack of just notes and Polaroid pictures I was taking of secretly taking people of the villages because you're not allowed to.
Yeah. Secretly. Yeah.
When I came back, my goal was to convert that journal into a dissertation, into my master program. And a professor saw it and said, you really should think about the arts because we need medical illustrations in this industry. This is before computer times, guys. So kids out there, if you're listening, this is
Back in the day.
before, back in the days that we didn't have computer illustration or 3D scanning. So
Right.
things were done by hand. And because of that, I was like, no, no, no. I'm gonna go to British Columbia. That's why I want to go get my PhD. This is my journey. Don't derail me.
Hmm.
And she said, well, let me just borrow your book for a couple of days. I want to look at it. I said, sure. When that was happening, I get a call from the graduate counseling department saying I'm not going to graduate with my class. I said, why? Because, well, the trip you took to Africa took you back 2 courses. You need to take some kind of humanity course, art history,
Yeah.
something to fill that. I said, all right, fine. Give me art history. Give me sketching classes. So while I
Yeah.
was doing that, a professor who was in art saw my book. Simultaneously, things started to line up. She submitted to Art Center for me for pre-acceptance portfolio,
Okay.
and I got a full scholarship to go to Art Center Pasadena.
See how that works out?
I still have chills talking about it
Wow.
because it is just one of those serendipitous things that happen, and then you just go, "All right, the universe is talking to me." And in fact,
Yeah.
it's smacking me in the face,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I better
Yeah.
listen. So I graduated my class. I was able to take courses fast speed and finished it and graduated my class. I'm very proud. I'm a true biologist.
Yeah.
And then I jumped right over to Art Center Pasadena to study there in the arts. I entered as a painter and as a fine art student because I didn't have the technical skills.
Hmm.
Under the full scholarship, you kind of have to keep your grades in a certain level. I was the worst painter in the world. And because I was not technically trained.
Okay. Okay.
And about a year into it, I get another call from the professors at school. I get called to the principal's office a lot all
I
my
was gonna
life.
say it's like,
So I'm used to it.
yeah,
So I'm like, what now?
yeah. What now?
And they're like, well, here's what we're going to do with you. We're either going to kick you out the school or you
Oh,
change your major. I go, why? Because the painting major, the illustration major is no longer going to give you the scholarship because you don't have the qualification for it. You can't paint. In fact, you're never going to be the painter you want to be. It was harsh.
wow.
And it was pretty much, and I said, whoa, what do you mean? He goes, well, here's a problem that you have a lot of life experiences other students don't have at the school.
Hmm.
Because I, went through my degrees. I'm 4 years older than everybody else already.
Right.
Majority of the students there just came out of high school. Like you have the conceptual skill set that these students don't have,
Hmm.
but they have lifelong histories of education in the arts and the technical ability
Hmm.
that you don't have.
Hmm.
He goes, you need to change your major to be an art director or graphic designer or communications and hire those people who are much better than you at execution.
That was their advice? Oh
That
my
was their
gosh.
advice. And can I
Wow.
tell you, it's the best advice to
Yeah.
date. It truly is because I had to face the fact what I was good or not good at.
Mm.
And with that, I changed my major. I finished Art Center and I did not pick up a camera yet. I know the story is long, but I did not pick up the camera yet
Right.
because I never wanted to be a photographer because my dad was a photographer in Taiwan.
Okay.
I wanted to be my own. I did not want to do photography. I was never going to go into the kitchen. I never wanted to be anything that my father was doing, but
Okay.
I'm doing it all the same right now. But
Right. Right. Exactly.
however, it was through, I was doing a lot of writing when I got out of college. I was doing writing for treatments for film and TV commercial, working with people like Ridley Scott and Tony
Mm.
Scott, like really amazing people with Tarsim. And through their encouragement, they thought I should be doing more work behind the camera myself instead of just writing. So I'm very blessed. And I tell this story because along the way, these pivotal points and pivotal moments that I have hit, I've always been someone who had come in and told me the truth. They shared their truth with me.
Yes.
And I had to keep my heart open to listen to that truth. I could either go home and cry and say, I suck at painting and just give up. Or I listen to that. And what do I have to lose? I'm young. I have time. I'm healthy. Let's give it a try. But truly, through all those amazing advices that I've been giving throughout the time, that I then started picking up the camera. I started shooting because the client requested. Clients would say the same thing I hear in college. You have this conceptual skill set that you're amazing at it, and the people you're hiring are not getting you the concept that you are seeing. So why don't you now start capturing it? So it came full circle for me, right? It came
Absolutely.
complete full circle for me. So I started directing TV commercials, and that was my first step into behind the lens, and I loved it. I did, and with that, I started shooting, and I was doing a lot of commercial work. I wasn't doing fashion at all. In
Hmm.
fact, I'm like such an anti-fashion person because I don't even own a Louis Vuitton anything. You know, I unless they're gonna give it to me for free, I'm not buying. That's what I
Yeah,
tell you.
you're easy. You're easy breezy. Yeah, I get it.
If
I get it.
I'm high and low, a lot of lows. The
I
high
get it.
may be like somebody happened to give me a gift that is a hoodie from Hermes, but
Uh-huh.
it just looks like H&M to me. I don't know. So
I get it. I get it.
I'm not. So I've never been like I need to be in fashion. I love the models, but what I did love is the visuals. I love photographers like Avedon, people
Okay.
like Herbret's who have painted amazing visual. Because as a visual artist training from Art Center, I was more in love with what the end product, but I didn't learn anything about the process, how to get there. So that was my journey of education all over again. I had
Okay.
to move to New York. I learned what fashion was like and learn the in and outs of how hard it is to penetrate that industry. It
Yeah.
truly is a very cliquish industry. It's dominated by a lot of people who are very New York proud,
Mm,
or Paris proud. And if you're from Los Angeles, you're deemed not to make it. And that was
mm.
always what I heard that many times.
That's
In
tough.
fact, at one point, I was dropped by my agent in New York because he said, "You're never going to make it as a photographer. We're not going to invest the time in you. So bye." And I'm like, when that happened,
That's
all
tough.
the pivotal moments of people saying you need to change went into my head again. But
And
this
it
man was
strengthened you.
different.
And it
But
strengthened.
this man was different. He didn't give me any advice. He
Mhm.
simply just put a roadblock. And with all the trainings of lessons I've learned in the past, that everybody always give me a positive affirmation to go along with the with the barrier he was setting up, I then had to pick up my own advice and jump over that barrier myself. And I was like, you just didn't finish talking. I heard you, but you didn't finish talking. So I'm going to tell myself, I got this. And that's how within a year I was shooting major campaigns. I was working with Apple, rechanging or reshaping the brands of Apple. One of my most proud campaign ever is shooting for
Mm,
Apple.
mhm.
And then Coca-Cola and all these massive brands. Again, that still doesn't bring me to the world of fashion. That doesn't bring me to the world of Sports Illustrated because there's a very it's church and state in a way back
Mm,
in the days of commercial versus art,
okay.
versus fashion, because fashion people think that's art and commercial people don't get accepted. But
Opposite sides. Yeah.
when I'm Asian, there's one thing that in between all that is a dollar sign called money,
Yeah.
called survival, called paying rent,
Yeah.
and
Reality.
that reality. And I have to say this for those who want to be photographers, there is a it's not even a misconception because I want to say it correctly, is that it is true. A lot of photographers become photographers because they are privileged in a situation where they have financial support, whether from their family. A lot of trust fund babies become photographers,
Okay.
or you have the financial means. However, you make have that financial means because it
Mhm.
costs a lot of money to become a photographer. It does.
Yes.
You work really hard, and so you pay your dues.
Hmm.
I happened to be a creative director working at an advertising agency already at the time while I was shooting their campaign. So I used that to fund my career. But without that, I couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I didn't. My parents are farmers. They're gonna give me mushrooms before they give me a dollar. So, and then not the kind that give you
Hilarious.
like hallucinogens either. They're just like
Straight up
good
mushrooms. Yeah.
shiitake mushrooms.
Right. 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 You know what? I love that you're resourceful, though. I love that you're resourceful and you had a vision and you went for it. And that's the beauty of your story. And I love that you started there and you, despite the roadblocks, you just kept pursuing. That is
And
so inspiring.
it really has to do with the fact that I tell people, like, you have to find what inspires you. Some people are inspired by beauty, right? Oh, I'm so inspired about this gorgeous body I want to photograph, or this amazing location. I was inspired by putting food on the table and have dinner every night. Then I got inspired by the people that work around me, that I want to make sure that they have food on the table
Hmm.
that they can eat. So I never turned down any job. I never thought, oh, shooting for that brand is beneath me. But that was the mentality in New York. And then when I moved back to LA, at the turn of that time was when magazines started realizing that models don't always sell, celebrity does. I
Mm.
started shooting celebrities. And I have to tell you, that first 2 years shooting celebrity was the 2 years I didn't work with any New York market magazines because they thought I was not a real photographer.
Really?
They
Okay.
thought, oh, you're a sellout, you're shooting celebrities. But
Wow.
little did they know that was the way. And reason I also had that inkling and understanding is I'm a creative director by training. I work in the advertising market. I hear the trend before the trend happens and hits New York from ad, right? Everything comes down to consumer, what
Hmm.
consumer is relating to, what they're going to buy. There's an issue with fashion people that are very capsule in their own head. They think this is beautiful, therefore you should buy it. But in reality, is it all trickles down to me and you who are consumers, what we respond to. And I always sit in the consumer seat first before I do any of my work.
And that's how you know ahead of time.
That's how
Mhm.
you begin to. So it's not like I'm a psychic, but I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
I listen to what I believe in and what people around me are drawn to, and I work in that way. So that and then at that time I definitely had a bucket list. I got a new agent who believed in me, who had only two. I was the only photographer on the roster. I liked being the only one at the time. It was cool. I didn't mind. He believed in me. He says,
That's
I want to.
insane right there. You were the
Oh, it
only
was crazy.
photographer on the roster.
He was like, I want to sign you. I love your work. And I'm like, well, you have nobody else on the roster. He goes, yeah, because I'm going to take all my time building you. I'm all, great.
Oh my
That,
God.
then I said, here's my bucket list.
Yeah.
I want to shoot for Guess. I want to shoot for Sports Illustrated.
Okay.
And I want to shoot for Victoria's Secret. And there were three brands that nobody was paying attention to at the time because they were the sexy brands. They were not the fashion brands,
Okay.
right? They were the consumer brands. But those are what I drawn toward because I love beauty for its commercial value, right? I love beauty for the masses.
Hmm.
Yes, I love to create art too, but I grew up learning that artists don't make money until they die.
Ah,
So
wait, that's true in many cases. Oh my God.
so I
Wow.
wanted to make sure my work had value. So those were the three things I hit. And I told my agent that those are the things you have to go after. So one by one, he checked them off the list. He got me meeting with guests. I shot for them for 12 years. And as a creative director for them as well for 3. So it was incredible. Opened up
Who was your
stores
favorite
and
campaign, I guess? Because who was under your time? Like, what were some of the big?
the superstars, the Elsa Hosk. I mean,
Oh,
Elsa Hosk was 16 when I brought her over from Switzerland when nobody knew her. Gigi
okay.
Hadid, who is the #1 model in the world, she was 14 when I first shot her. I knew that she was going to be a star. Irina Shayk, that again, not a word of English, and it was a Russian woman that everybody thought she was she was going to be a nobody, and she's a mega star today. And and Jessica Hart, all these people during that period, I really got to exercise my wings then because it was at the time where we were changing the brand. I came from this group called Arnell Group in New York. I
Okay.
work for Peter Arnell, who's the most craziest human being that anybody would ever meet. He is the shark of all shark in advertising, but I learned all the amazing things from him in terms of how to rebrand a brand,
Okay.
how to reshape a brand. So Guess was actually at that point really needed a lift. They just came out of this wave of shooting reality celebrities as
Yes.
campaigns, and that
Yes.
wave was moving away from it. I wanted to bring back the beautiful Eva Hotakova days, the Naomi Campbell days. So that was what I did for them, and it was really successful. So I continued to work with them, and with Guess, it came with a call from other magazines who were like Esquire and GQs, and so I got to work with them, and then one by one, through hard work and through exposure, the amazing exposure my agent was giving me at the time, that I got to do Victoria's Secret and I got to shoot for Sports Illustrated. And it's been 11 years since my relationship with Sports Illustrated.
Wow. What longevity? I mean,
Crazy. I
and
feel
I
so
mean,
old when I talk about this stuff.
yeah, but you were 20 when or 15 when you started shooting, right?
14 when I was in college, so you can count back. Whatever you think I am, give me at least 5 years back.
There you go. There you go. Well, I mean, I love that, and some of the most beautiful people you shot, and incredible people too, because I know that they've talked about you as a photographer, and they say that you have a way about you that makes them comfortable, and that's all beyond just your talent behind the lens. It's your personality as well. But this. Oh wow! I mean, this is so beautiful, and each
Thank
girl
you.
has their own cover as well. What was it like working with these three ladies, Jasmine, Olivia, and Kate?
Well, each one of them, we have our stories. We definitely have our journey together.
Ah,
Kate Bach, I first shot her in Switzerland,
okay.
and this is, I think, 8 years ago. And when she walked on set, I was like, wow, Farrah Fawcett. She's incredible. She's beautiful. She has a real quiet demeanor. At the time, I thought it was really a nut that was hard to crack because I am huge. I'm big personality. When I show up, it is a party and I want to have fun. It doesn't matter I'm in a courtyard of some library, I'm still screaming on top of my lung to get excitement on my set. And so I wasn't sure that our connection would click. And it wasn't until the first image came up on the monitor, because we're shooting digital, she got to see herself how I capture her. Then we bonded. Because on these trips that people don't realize that we don't pick our models. Editor-in-chief MJ Day really picked the models and the photographer pairing that she think will create the most magical and beautiful work together. And she thought that my hyper energy can bring out excitement from her quiet demeanor because she's so beautiful. But to get a little bit of from her, you just need somebody who can crack a nut open. And and we developed a relationship since, and we shot together since. And she's so beautiful, and she's been with the franchise for many, many years. So her cover is so rightfully deserved.
Yeah, and this is the inside. I just want to show a couple.
Oh, that triple is, can I tell you, that's the last frame we shot of the day. It was not planned. It was like, okay, we got the shots we think we need. Let's leave. And the sun was setting. And I go, guys, hold on. I just need 5 minutes. And I found the perfect spot on the sand for them to stand. I said, just wait here. I need 5 more minutes. And I wasn't shooting them. They're like, why are we standing here? I go, we're going to wait for that sun to perfectly move behind that cloud.
Yes.
Then we're going to shoot, because that's the moment I want to capture you guys. So the antsiness of them waiting around, maybe the impatience a little bit, the excitement and all of a sudden I was able to get this moment with such a quietness. I want a picture that so contrasts to the possible cover. And just so you guys know, we don't know who's going to be on the cover. Photographers don't know. No, we don't know. We don't know who we're going to shoot. We'll know about 2 weeks ahead of time. And we don't know who's going to be on the cover. And every photographer gets an opportunity to do a cover try. There's always an A-list possible cover trip. You can see it. You're like, oh, like James McCarry, I love his work. I'm like, oh, he's going to get a cover this year because he has that girl. I just know it's her moment coming up. And sometimes surprised, like, oh, he didn't get it. Whoa, this good. Ben Watts got the cover. And it's like, but we're all colleagues and we celebrate with each other. And so with Jasmine, we shot an InStyle magazine together, a cover together. Yeah. And she is one of those people that you think she's gorgeous when you see her on picture. When you meet her, it transcends beyond the outside beauty. She's so passionate about helping people. She's so passionate about making this world a better place. She's antithesis of a lot of beautiful models I know that can live and just rest on the laurel being beautiful. She works. And her stories are so inspiring to hear. As a mixed race Black woman, skin of color, light skin, she has to go through her journey in that community alone, then coming out of that community, to be able to stand tall and stand with that community and be in this world we're in, that we're celebrating the skin tone from darkest dark to lightest light. And one thing about her, what I love the most was that she insists that she keep her natural hair. Her natural curly hair.
Curly, oh gosh, yes. I gotta find more shots, but
yeah. And that's, to me, it's so important to talk about because that's truly celebrating who she is. Oh, and Olivia and I have done a reality show together before called Model Squad. And on the show, it shows that we had a huge fight and we made up, and then she got to meet MJ Day. As you guys know, reality shows are just as much you think reality is. Anyhow, that's our first time actually working together. But we met many times on sets with different people. She was friends with others, so she'll come and visit me on set. And I'm so proud of her and see what she has done with her platform. She really had taken this Miss Universe pageant girl mentality that everybody's like, oh, a pageant girl, turn herself into this incredible entrepreneur, making masks to donate money to the first responders. And I'm really, really proud of all three of these ladies. They're incredible. And to be able to shoot them all together, listen, I'm not stupid. When that happened, I'm all, wait a minute, could this be the cover? I literally went, I'm like, okay, maybe.
You had an idea.
Maybe, but it could have been just Olivia. It could have been just Kate, because she's been doing it for so long. And it could have been a moment for Jasmine, because she was Rookie of the Year last year. But guess what? I was right All of them. Because
You
they all
nailed
got
all of them.
they
All
got
four.
4 covers.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Talk about a pinch me moment. That is, but what I love to you about this particular issue, there is so much inclusivity in it. I
Oh,
mean, there's many firsts but I loved seeing Kathy Jacobs on her Instagram page. She's 56 years old, stunning, and her reaction when she was paging through the magazine the first time on her IG was hilarious. She's like,
well,
"There's me, there's me."
she has a hidden talent. She actually Dolly Parton impersonator, just so you know.
She what? She
She's
what?
a Dolly Parton impersonator.
Really?
She can, and
Oh my gosh!
she gives a whole rendition of Jolie on set while we're shooting. It was pretty incredible. What I love about her and about this issue is that we also have a swim search contestants and
Yeah.
models
Yeah.
part of the magazine because while that we're looking for people of influence, celebrities and names that people that can make impact for the magazine. At the same time, we want to make sure we celebrate every woman that's out there. So often people don't realize that they have an opportunity. So about 3 years ago, MJ Day came with the idea to start a model search. And little did we know, thousands and thousands and thousands of girls lined up in Miami and just to meet her and meet the entire staff. And I've been part of that journey with her from the very beginning, so I'm super proud of it. Because you don't realize how much impact you have on each person's life until you see their dedication. And when they sit down with you for 2 minutes, they share their passion with you, what you've done for them, creating a magazine that you're part of.
It must
It's,
hit you here. Oof.
I think we cry all day. You just cry because everybody has a story. And you know what? You don't have to be in a magazine to have your story heard.
Right.
That's what's incredible. We encourage everybody to celebrate their stories on Instagram, on Facebook, on the social media platform. We champion their stories. And this is all MJ and Sports Illustrated. I give them credit for it. I'm there for the ride. I'm on the train with them, and because I get to, I'm the privileged one that get to be part of that journey. But as an Asian American and working with MJ, we have always talked about making sure that we have inclusivity, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well.
Okay.
And
More
yeah,
shots.
look at
Beautiful.
that.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
last year the cover was shot by Loretta Houston, who's a Black woman shooting Tyra Banks, a superstar. When Loretta has never shot anything at that caliber, but celebrating, giving her the opportunity, which is completely what we need to do to fight systemic racism, right?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I can start choking up talking about it because that is so very important. And I was inspired by the magazine when I knew that Walter Chin, an Asian photographer, was shooting for this magazine 20 years ago. Even 5 years ago, he was still shooting for that magazine. And when I saw that name, it's when I go, there's a chance for me to be in this magazine. Because somebody, and I know it sounds so weird for people to say, well, you don't see yourself there unless you see somebody else there. Yes, it's true. Just like I don't see a possibility for me being on television. And until I saw Lisa Ling hosting a show on CNN. You know what I mean? Because we have to, you're a journalist and you interview so many people, pay forward and pave the way. And I know where you're at KTLA, you interview so many people, diversity, and we live in a world of a bubble in California and New York. We truly do. And we forget that, oh, wait a minute, I'm part of that diversity. Yeah. And it's when I realized that how important, because I always say to MJ, we need to have inclusivity. She goes, what do you think you are? I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Wait, that's true. Wow. Yeah,
but you know,
yeah,
it's kind of just the paradigm, switching the paradigm.
And it makes sense. I mean, obviously Valentina, the first transgender model.
Wow. I love this story. Valentina was in my radar that I really wanted to photograph her for the magazine, and MJ and I talked about her, and for whatever reason, timing and schedule and so forth, that she wasn't even out yet, I think, at the time when we first were looking for someone who representing that market. And when she was ready, because really it's about women when they're ready, right? When they're ready to show who they want, who they want people to see of them. Like Kathy at 55, she's like, I'm ready to show you how sexy I am. Because she may not be ready at 35, guys. She may not have been ready at 22, but she was ready at 55.
She was ready at 55.
Right. And when Valentina was ready, she got this moment and was shot by a female photographer. And I think that is so, so important to talk about, because when men capture women are very different. You know, and when I saw MJ pair up with a women photographer, I went, wow, that's so brilliant, because it's not about a gay man shooting transgender women or straight men shooting a trans. The conversation no longer about the photographer. The conversation really truly lies on the subject, which is her. And that's what she does, right? She lines up the photographer. She looked at what's the most important messaging that they can have for the magazine. And then she paired me with Juju, who's one of the Asian women in the magazine. She's the Korean, 100% Korean, not mixed race. So for you guys out there keep saying we're using mixed race people and all that. By the way, I'm not mixed race either. Even though I look mixed race, I'm not. And her story is incredible. She waited in line for 6 hours. And you know, people don't realize she's a top model. She's done every show. She's well respected in the industry, but she stood in line with everybody. She didn't get to cut in line. She didn't jump in front of anybody. She didn't have her agent walk her through and say, listen, I have a model here. You need to see we're not waiting in line. She stood in line for 5 hours in the rain, in Miami heat. And when she showed up, she was completely wet. And I stared at her and go, oh my God. It's like looking in a mirror. No. Finally, there's a beautiful Asian woman here. And we talked about this a lot. Why that we, you know, MJ would ask me, how come we can't find enough Asian women? It goes, because we haven't yet had one that champions sexuality and beauty in the way that other women would do the same. And what she did was incredible. She showed up for casting without her agent's approval. Oh, wow. She said, no, I want to be here because I am sexy and I want people to see me that way. I don't want to be invisible. I don't want to be the stereotype of that I'm a shy Asian. I'm going to hide in a corner and I'm going to bow and say thank you, whatever opportunity comes. She's like, I'm going to make this opportunity happen. And she did. It was so powerful listening to her. So we had to put her, you know, MJ had to put her in a magazine and I had to shoot her.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. She was, okay, just for behind the scenes situation. The magazine has evolved over time where it was, when it was your grandfather's magazine, it was a magazine that lived in the bathroom, then you know what you do with yourself. And then it became the father's magazine, it became very raw TNA, right? You know, but the magazine in the last 5 years has really evolved into women empowerment, celebrating who they are. So as a photographer who lends over the last decade, I had to evolve with them. So in the very beginning of the shooting for them, it was truly about shooting images that can live in the bathroom. And then it evolved into, okay, more this type of market. But the last 5 years, I couldn't tell you how important it is for MJ to really convert the magazine and pivot into the place of a conversation that needed to happen. It was not a trend. She broke the mold by putting Kate Upton, who was a curvy model. Ashley Graham, who is a true plus size model, on the cover. She put color people on Tyra Banks, the second Black woman on the cover of Sports Illustrated. You know, it's those voices and those conversations are so ever important. And just to put a little timeline for people who are listening, is that this is pre-movement. This is pre-discussion. This is pre-Me Too. She was the voice.
Makes sense.
In the beginning of this, and she wasn't trying to create a movement. She's like, this is just the right thing to do, and this is what we need to do. And as a photographer, to be able to be part of that journey is incredible. And be able to, and then having to adapt. And there are times, and you'll be like, whoa, I need the new you side back. And when Juju and I were shooting, we were so excited. It went back 12 years ago, kind of magazine. And she's like, okay, you got that out of your system? All right, let's come back. Let's come back now.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Your behind the scenes on your Instagram, and I know Olivia just posted some, hilarious. People have to check that out because you are so you, and they are loving it. And I know that's what added to that ambiance of the shoot.
You don't have a choice, guys. You get all of me or nothing at all. And I will have to say, pre-Me Too movement, that all of us as photographers were one type of photographers. We were the captain of the ship. We say go, you go. We say jump, you jump off the boat. There's no question asked. And a lot of us have attitudes, and just like a chef in the kitchen can throw a pot across the room. We were those people. And I was always loud, but I would say louder. And I was always inappropriate, but not the right way to be appropriateness, right? So I have to say I appreciate the time has changed and allows and also time allowed me to change, right? I had to evolve with it. And I'm appreciative of the clients that stuck with me going, wow, Yusai is evolving from 10 years ago and he
Yes.
can be still with our journey because we're changing with him or we're changing together. And that's a huge, I can't say that about every brand that's out there. And for those who know, there are brands I don't work with anymore because of Me Too movement. I don't want to go too deep into that,
Okay.
but you can Google. Um, but there's a reason why I
Google
don't
it.
work with those brands anymore because they are still stuck in the way of old mentality that they could take sexuality to the extreme, to the way that doesn't celebrate women. And I'm proud today to say that magazines I work with, the subject I get to shoot, the people I get to photograph, are women or men who celebrate who they are, and I get privileged to be there with them. And still be stupid and inappropriate, but just within the guidelines of not getting in trouble.
Yes, I get it. No, I get it. You know what's interesting? You have your show on IG Live called Let's Talk,
Mm.
and you really do. You talk. I mean, you don't hold back, and that's another thing that I love about you. One of the conversations that I happened to watch was with Alfonso David. He's the
Oh,
president of the Human Rights Campaign, and I'm telling you that it was so eye-opening. And you said something to him that really stuck with me. You said in regards to your sexuality. You live openly, but not too loudly. And it's because of your culture.
that's right.
Explain to us what that means.
Well, because I do work in the Asia pocket a lot, and reason I work in the Asia pocket because I get a lot of no's in America. America doesn't feel like other than Tyra Banks, who have put me on the show, and Ashley Graham put me on the show, so I can't say I didn't get the opportunity. I get a lot of no's, and I guess a lot of yeses, so don't
Yeah,
come for me saying I'm not privileged enough to have the opportunity. But
right.
behind the scenes, I really wanted to make this show for Street to Kitchen. It was really important for me because I was already a co-hosting Asia's Next Top Model. I was a mentor on the show, judge on the show for 3 years.
Mm,
And for me, Asia Pocket is my home. And I have to respect culturally, right? When you're in somebody's house, if you walk into an Asian person's house, you take off your shoes. You just do because that's culturally what we do.
yeah.
Not because we now your feet stink, we'll ask you to put your shoes back. But but that's just something that you respect. So that's an analogy I make that when I am a public figure and I want to work in a market that
Mhm.
celebrates me, I'm not conforming to be them. I'm not changing who I am, but I
Right.
can respect the culture.
Yes.
And Indonesia, Malaysia, there are a lot of areas out there that you can live as gay as you want. You just don't live as loudly as you want. And I know I'm not helping the cause by saying this, but as a business person, that's what I chose to do,
Okay.
right? But this all would have always been. I have never been a rainbow wearing flag person, but I think I'm already a rainbow when I walk into the room. So it's not like I'm hiding it. I have never ever denied my sexuality, and I never thought my sexuality led my career or hindered my career.
Hmm.
So except for one situation, we don't talk about that. That's
Wait,
okay.
maybe we
I
do need
just
to talk
forgot
about
that. Yeah, no, but but there are discrimination against gay photographers. We can
that. Yeah.
leave it at there.
Okay.
But for just for that respect, that I wanted to make sure that okay, I want I want that audience to learn and celebrate with me and let me be me in the way I am. If I inspire them to be LGBTQ and pick one of those, whatever when they choose to be, fantastic, because there are different ways to live your life that way. And that's why I said I don't live as loudly. And doesn't mean that if I don't have a show in Asia, when I didn't do shows in Asia, I didn't live any other way. I'm still living the same way I've always have. So it's not that, oh, I'm conforming, I'm changing, therefore countries that oppress gay and lesbians that I want their money and I don't I
No,
don't
it's your
celebrate
choice.
who I am. Yeah, I don't filter myself at all. And then here you can tell, even on conversation I have on Let's Talk or any behind the scene interviews, I don't. And I only hope I have is that they'll embrace me. And I can tell you this much that with Sports Illustrated Week, when I post a lot of bikini shots of women I photograph, I lose a lot of followers. I lose a lot of fans who are very conservative, think that I am actually taking advantage of their sexuality, and that's okay, and that's a luxury of having a public forum that people can join you or people can leave you, and people can try to get you off the show. People can,
Yeah.
it's everybody's opinion,
That's
and
part of the business.
and only thing I can do, I just remind myself, I live publicly.
Okay.
However I live, the consequences are there. If I choose to live this way or that way, that's who I am.
That's
But
you.
I am very excited to tell you that, Taiwan, where I'm from, is the first country in Asia that legalized marriage, gay marriage.
There you
So it's
go.
incredible. And Thailand is doing the same now, that they're probably going to be the second. So that's celebrated. And I'm celebrating with them. And so, and I do, well, listen, we do model show. There are lots of gay people behind the scenes, front of the scenes. It's about respect, you know?
Definitely.
I won't walk into a mosque and start dancing in Beyonce's routine. So why would I go to Asia and start wearing rainbow flags?
Yeah.
That
I know what you mean. No, you know what? I don't want to ignore all the people that are writing you.
oh,
We have so many people from everywhere that wanted to see you and hear your story.
and I love this
Somebody
person
said,
says boring. You know what? That's what's great about social media. If
"Oh
you're
my
bored,
God!"
but I don't know why you're here if you think it's bored. That's what I love. So obviously
Well,
you're not that bored.
but there are people saying you are adorable to me.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Tsai. I love your work. You are so awesome. I mean, you know what? There's going to be people who don't like any profession. You know, there's haters. There's people who love. But it is what it is. It's just called the public
But you're
eye.
watching, so sucker.
Yeah, right. Wait, I have to ask you. I do want to ask you. Tyra Banks, who you worked with for years on American Next Top Model, she is now working as the host of Dancing with the Stars. I'm
Wow.
curious to know your thoughts on that.
You know, I I always felt myself as a minority, and I always wanted to be part of the entertainment business. I took acting. I went to college. I was taking acting minor. I wanted to be in front of television, and I used to go to auditions for white people. I still show up. I was that oblivious. I had a short stint of time working for Disney as a dancer, so I always want to be a performer. But because of my color of my skin, because who I am, because I have an accent, that opportunity has not always been so prevalent for me to just grab onto and work. I was a good extra in the background of, Party of Five for a whole paper school, so it's cool. But I never had the opportunity. When Tyra Banks gave me the opportunity to be on Top Model as a guest photographer, I was only a guest, and then gave me a full-time job for two seasons. It was incredible. And I will always celebrate her. I know there are a lot of haters out there, and there are a lot, but for me, I have to say honestly, the most best opportunity I ever have given in this business are from people of color.
Okay.
And I said that because I actually recently realized that, which is my bad, my personal
You
growing
just
and
realized
learning.
that. Okay, tell us about that.
I was educated by someone the other day, a black man who was telling me about we were talking about photography, and I told him, and I was shooting for Essence magazine at the time, so I shoot a lot of black artists and
Okay.
celebrities and singers, and people ask me, wow, you have this opportunity shooting other people of color, how do you process and how do you shoot and how do you work? And I used to say this. I used to say, well, I show up on set, I don't see color. I'm colorblind. I'm a color person, therefore I'm colorblind. I just celebrate who they are. I shoot the most beautiful of them.
Okay.
It wasn't until recently, less than 3 weeks ago, I'm taught a new lesson. It's because I've been saying I'm colorblind, I haven't celebrated their true colors. And yet I've never celebrated my own color.
I see.
And I've chose talking about it because it completely took my whole world, went whoosh.
Yeah.
I'm all, oh my God,
Wow.
wait a minute. Because I didn't celebrate their true color, I never celebrate my own color.
Mm.
I never championed for Asian American heritage. I never realized that was important. Even though subconsciously, while I'm working for the Asian market, I would push Black artists on the cover or models on the cover, and I always want to celebrate Asian people because that's likeness of me. But
Mhm.
it wasn't from that standpoint of knowing I see color.
What an
So,
eye-opening moment.
oh my gosh, it's a paradigm I hope that everybody have opportunity to realize, especially a visual person and an artist. And when I learned that, I began to have this, a moment of reflection of how much my growth in this business, the opportunity I've gotten, and people have celebrated my work, have been people like Janet Jackson, have been people like Taraji P. Henson. And that's when I go, wait a minute, time out. What's going on? What I've been missing this entire time, right? So then I have to reflect back at the opportunity Tyra Banks given me. And all I can say is whatever that woman wants to do, she seems to get her way there and do. And she's such an inspiration to so many people. I being on Dancing with the Stars, my bucket list. Being a
Really?
past dancer, I always want to be. And every time I audition for it, they're like, "Oh, your profile's not high enough to be on the show yet."
Really?
Whatever.
Well, now's the year, Tyra.
We will see. We'll see about that. But you know, Tyra bring a spin to it. She'll always bring her Tyra, you know, language. She has the whole smiles and she has to
Oh yeah,
snap
this
and
is spice.
pose. But at this time, I think we're making a lot of changes. We're seeing changing of the guard to people of color.
Yes.
I do wish, you know, I'm not trying to take Tyra's job away from her. I do wish that they will bring other less known Black people into
Okay.
the front line when the opportunity is there. And I know she will. I know she will do that with the contestant that she'll bring on the show. I know she does that with her entire crew. Her crew is incredibly diverse from
Mm-hmm.
top to bottom. So that I know a lot of times what you don't see behind the scenes is more important than what you see in front of you, you
Oh,
know?
oh,
And
totally. The years I've done TV, I know that you're
yeah.
right.
And she's
Absolutely.
so inclusive in that way. And I don't think she ever saw me as an Asian person. She just thought I was a crazy person, but that's fine too.
Hey, that's a good thing, right? I think. Oh man, that is so cool. Well, I knew you'd have an opinion on that because Tyra is just a force to be reckoned with, and she is
Wow.
killing it, killing it. And the
And
Tsai
she's
thing,
family. You know, she was a
yeah,
Victoria's Secret model.
yeah,
She's double SI cover. You know,
yeah.
she's always gonna be on my list of champion that who's paving road for so many people. And I don't even think she realized that when I'm in Asia and
Hmm.
we hear about all these people who live on the rural and the rice paddies making clothes and making fashion videos because of her. She made fashion accessible. So I think
Yes.
she'll bring a new flair to the show. I'm excited to
It'll,
see.
it'll be cool. Well, I got to read this comment from McKinney, JJ McKinney. It's all about heart. You are genuine and are a beautiful human being. I mean, if
Okay.
that's not something that just makes you smile, I don't know
Oh,
what will.
McKinney, give me your email address. I'll send you a gift certificate.
Ah, yeah, you did
No, but
well.
thank you guys
Well,
so much. I mean, these conversations are so important, and I'm so excited that you're doing this as well, and also inviting me on your show because I think, you know, through this time, if we can continue talking to each other, and I laugh. People say, "Why you do Let's Talk?" And I go, "Well, it's free therapy."
that's true. That's true. Yes.
And every person who had come on the show have taught me so much. And emotionally, I cry with them, I laugh with them. And as you can tell from my guest list, it really does have a spectrum of people who are LGBT community, Asian American
Yes.
community, the chef community that I'm so in love with right now because I've realized how important they are, and they're the first people to show up as with the first responders to feed the people during any time of crisis, and also putting spotlight on women who are in the kitchen not celebrated as much as men. These are the conversations that I love bringing to the forefront. And you're right. Sometimes I gotta tell you, I'm like, am I gonna get backlash by being so honest? But
Mm,
we have nothing to lose. That's how
that's
I see it now, you know? And
being
if,
ourselves.
well, if you're not going to embrace me from when I was quiet, why are you going to, might as well have
Nothing's gonna change.
voices
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
going to change.
Yeah. Well, this has been a pleasure having you on my show. I'm telling you. And again, these are all the covers. Look at all these beautiful ladies. And there's seven.
And guys, don't forget to vote for your rookies. There are 6 rookies this year, and the rookie gets being featured the next episode, so next season, next issue of Sports Illustrated.
Yeah.
I could get the time zone screwed up because we don't know when we're going to start back up again, when we can shoot again. Usually by this time we're already on trips, and just so you guys know, I don't have a contract with SI. I have to earn it every year, and I every time they call me to shoot. MJ was like, "Why are you so surprised?" I go, "Because it is a absolute amazing honor." And then find out the trip that I get to go on. Now, last year was my 10-year anniversary, and we got to go back to Kenya, which is where I did my research for wildlife biology, which is such a full circle to come back to
Absolutely.
Kenya.
All the
Oh my,
way.
listen,
Oh,
guys, one thing that I don't get to say much on my show, but here I'm going to take advantage of it, is to share
yeah.
this. Open your heart and listen to the things around you. I don't think that we hear enough we hear a lot of noises, we don't hear enough voices. I'm definitely guided by different voices around me. I'm so fortunate and blessed, and I know the opportunity I have. I mean, people DM me goes, "You're killing it! Oh my God, these are amazing," and that's wonderful. But truly, when you just want to make sure somebody else is okay, just text your friends. Text your friends that you haven't talked to for 3 months and say, just checking in with you. I hope you're doing well. Because it really does change everybody's demeanor. And if we can do that, because we're not wearing masks, right? Well, now we're half of our face. The most important area of expression is covered. Let's start.
Yes.
Let's start making sure that we reach out to people and tell people that we care about them through the mask that we're wearing. Because it is tough. It is hard. It is not an easy time. And so I so appreciate you reaching out to me for me to
Well,
be able
thank you.
to have mask off and have conversation.
Exactly. And I appreciate that advice. It's such great advice. And thank you for sharing your story. I think you inspire people every day, and you certainly inspire me. So thank you. And I hope we get to do this again, and continued success to you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in person soon, I hope.
Yes,
That's always
absolutely.
my wishes at the end. And I know when this is all over, every single guest I need to make sure I can get in front of them and give them the biggest hug because
Oh,
but
yeah.
without all these correspondence and back and forth, I couldn't make it through. So thank you so much.
All right, you. Well, we will meet up absolutely when we can. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.
Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, guys, that was so much fun. And thank you, all of you, for joining. Um, so talented. Again, the Sports Illustrated magazine is now on newsstands and just has photos of just about everybody, all races, all sizes, all ages. It's something that is a sight to see. And again, thank you to you, Tsai, for joining me today. And thank you for tuning in. I'm Marco Gonzalez. I'll see you next time right here on the couch. Take care.